Hey folks, this is another Tales of Tirunia update. Welcome back. It's been a while. There's no drama today. There are a few cats in the background though, so they might just do some drama. But I wanted to give you all a little bit of update on where we are going with Tales of Tirunia. So originally we set out to create a live service PvP game, mostly, kind of like TFT in a way, right? If you've ever played that. Obviously, I'm a grandmaster, so I had to make something like that. But over time, we kind of realized that that's not really the market that we want to be in. One of the biggest issues I think there was sort of figuring out what are the things that we want to gate behind the microtransaction. The game would have been free to play, and what are the things that should just make it into the game as they were. And so that led to a lot of frustration. But also, it seems like I don't know. I've been living in a bubble about being or making a live service PvP game. I think there's a very decent chance that the market is moving towards more so offline single player and peer-to-peer PvP, not PvP, peer-to-peer multiplayer focusing on co-op experiences. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make Tales of Tirunia first and foremost into a single player offline experience with peer-to-peer multiplayer focusing on co-op. You would still be able to play PvP if you wanted to, but the game is going to change quite a lot, right? So you may have seen the battle system, which was essentially the whole game previously. And we are keeping that as is, but it's just going to be a part of the whole game. So it's going to be part of actually the battle system, or it's going to be the battle system within the game. And from then on, we are just moving into a different direction. So the first thing that we're going to do now, next, is building out what's called a dungeon dwelling mode, where it's kind of like a roguelike experience. You will have these different dungeons that are procedurally generated with different nodes. On those nodes, you will have different things that you can do. There's a battle, for example, there's a forge or a shop node. And then the whole experience is going to be built around building your own army with a new trait system that we've designed as well. Which is going to be really cool, I think. So the first floor essentially is always going to be like an NPC floor in a way, where you will be building your army out. You will be picking and choosing which battles you take, and whenever you win a battle, you will just get one of the units from that battle randomly, up until you have a full army, essentially. And then you can start dwelling down into the dungeon, and each floor is going to get increasingly harder, with different modifiers on them, with different bosses, so on and so forth. But the whole army building mechanism essentially is going to rely or revolve around a trait system, which is based on origins and then classes. So origins are, essentially the factions. So Wild Tyrians, High Tyrians, Radiant, etc. And then classes are sort of what does this unit within this faction do? Is it a tank? Is it a warrior? Is it a mage? Is it something else? And then every time you play a unique unit, you will get its origin and its class as sort of like a tracker, a trait tracker. And then at different breakpoints, your units will get different abilities and values, right? So let's say you are playing 3 Wild Terrans, then from then on, every single Wild Terran that you place down will get +1 on the attacking side. Or, you're playing tanks and you have like an 8 tank team because that's what you want to do. Then all of your tanks will gain the counter ability and things like that, right? So we'll be doing a lot of like variations there, and you can decide however you want to build your army. So that's one thing, which is really cool, I think. The other one is the forge nodes, where depending on items and loot that you get throughout the battles and other stuff, crawling the dungeon, you will be able to reforge and rebalance your own units. So let's say you have a unit which has values of 0, 9, 0, 0. And then you will just use a recombobulator on it, and then it will have its values randomized completely. So it will maybe have like 5, 4, 0, 0, or it will have 3, 3, 3, 3, right? There's also stuff like rotating the values of your units. So what will happen is if you have like a 0900, it will be a 0090. And so that will give you a lot of sort of agency over how you want to build your own army, with a little bit of randomness in there to make things cool, I think. And then on top of that, we will have stuff like etching runes onto your units, which will give them abilities, or upgrading the tier of the unit. So, for example, a common unit will always have maximum value of 9, that is summed up on all sides, while a rare unit is going to have 12. So if you upgrade the tier of a normal unit from whatever it is, right, it will gain plus values. I think that will be really cool. We'll see how it goes. We will be launching that hopefully in October, maybe November, maybe later. I actually don't know when exactly we will get there. But the idea is that we will have this dungeon crawler mode, and you will be able to play it as a public playtest, which will probably leave on for like 2 to 4 weeks, maybe even more. We'll see. And then based on the feedback and traction, we will move forward. So then will come essentially the final form of the game, which is the overworld exploration. So we're turning from the 4C genre into a more typical 4X genre, where in the overworld you will have a hero and the faction that you chose, right? And then you will have a base of that faction. And so with the hero, you can move around on the map, collect resources, capture resources, fight different battles, gather stuff, things like that. And then using those resources, you can upgrade your base. In your base, you can recruit new units, and the higher the level of your base is, the better units you can recruit. You can also recruit new heroes, so you can use multiple heroes to explore. And in that, essentially, the game will be about killing all the enemy units and capturing all the enemy castles. And so the last one standing is essentially going to win the game. And so all of this we're going to bring to this. We will be bringing a co-op experience as well, right? So you can play with your friends against AI bots. And when I say AI, I mean in the traditional sense of game AI, not Gen AI. But you will also be able to play against each other. So if you want to fight against your friend and you want to have like a good run, you can do that. So that's where we're going for. But that's what we're going for at the moment. That is, at least 1+ year of development from where we're at now, just having the whole overworld experience. But we will be building tools out as well. So we will be giving the modding community and the community tools to build your own maps, for example, or bring your own army and things like that, which I think would be really cool. The other thing is that we're going with a premium model from now on. So what we will have is essentially you purchase the game once and you just keep it. There's no live service elements to it. And if you ever want to do an expansion or whatever, adding in new armies, we will do a DLC at that point. But again, I think it's just a more fair approach, and I think it just makes sense, right? Like you buy it once, you can play the game for however long you want to play it. There's no servers behind it. The only servers that you can host yourselves with your friends, stuff like that. And on top of that, if we ever want to go back to a live service model, we can do that at that point if we see that there is a lot of players playing the game and a lot of the players actually want that experience, then we will just create that experience at that point. Sorry about the cat yelling in the background. He does that sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So on top of this, yeah, what did I miss? I missed the character development in the dungeon dwelling mode. So on top of all of this, of course, you will get like a random character with a random stuff. For example, you will get a character that has +1 to wild terrains by default, or gains double the loot, or has better chance of dropping X item, right? You will be able to select from 3 of these randomly generated characters. You pick one, and then you go. And so you start exploring the dungeon, you build your army, and then at each floor you will defeat a boss. And when you defeat the boss, you will get an augment. An augment is also something that stays for the run. So it's typically stuff like, again, adding plus something to one of the traits, for example, or giving you more gold in the battle system, right? So you can buy more items that you can place on your units, or whatever. Like there will be a lot of stuff coming with different tiers and things like that. So that will give a lot of extra replayability and randomness to the game. And then, it can lead to those, oh, this is a freaking cool moment. I have these 2 augments that play off of each other, really cool moments, which I think is really fun. And then, yeah, so we will take that system essentially into the overworld exploration mode as well, where with your heroes, you will be able to gain these augments as you upgrade the heroes. And you will also have augments that are just like not hero specific, but rather global to your whole game, things like that, right? So yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Stay around for updates if you want. We're currently building out the foundations for how the maps should look like, the map editor for ourselves, which we will later turn into like a map editor for everyone else, and then building out the procedurally generated dungeons. We have something working, but we have to rework it to some degree because we finally ended up on the direction that we want to take. So yeah, that's it. No more free to pay live service model. We're going premium. Oh, price point. We didn't talk about price point because I don't know yet. My gut is telling me $25 to $35 range. Um, but again, like we will just have to see when we get there, right? This is not a sort of that's gonna be it. That's what's on my mind at the moment, and I think that I can justify that price point. But depending on how the demo goes and how people like the game, we'll have to see, I guess. Also, the amount of stuff that we actually need to put in there, because a lot of this actually, comes up during development. You kind of can plan ahead. I am planning ahead as much as I can, but at the end of the day, what will end up happening is we prototype a system, we try it out, and it might not work, or we try something else, but then that requires multiple new assets, and assets are actually really, really expensive, right? Like I'm, paying for all of this out of pocket. I'm already around 30,000 USD in the hole, and I think it's going to take about the same to finish everything up. We'll see. Yeah, so that's it. That was very raw. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.